The Latrobe Football Club, established in 1881, a club full of history. Just think of some of the people that have passed through this club over the 144 years. Committee members, coaches, life members, players and volunteers. Every single one of these people have had a story to tell. Families that have formed the foundation of this great club. Names like Jones, Anthony, Maney, Broomhall, Jaffray and Parker. Players including Warren Smith, Coventry, Fox, Harris, Hickman, Gillard, Dixon, Butler. And more recently, Matthew Stevenson, Holland, Jeffrey, Adam Stevenson and Woodcock. And of course, the greatest of them all. G'day, Doc. This club has been the heartbeat of the town from the beginning. Everyone that has been involved has played their part. The town identifies with the club's success. Sure, we have had our fair share of hard times, but it builds character, it gives strength, and it forms friendships. We don't wear red and blue, we bleed it. This is Latrobe, and this is our story.
You never needed to ask that bloody Devonport.
Oh, yeah, bloody Devonport. Shaq. We interrupt this marriage to bring you the football season, so I've still got that. A club like this, it invokes great passion.
Toxic.
You just hear the people kick the bloody ball.
He's doing the thing. I reckon another dozen is going to
When it comes to premierships, the Latrobe Football Club has achieved outstanding success in its long and proud history, including many memorable premierships, from that state flag win over Clarence back in 1970, and then who would forget the drought-breaking 2010 flag under coach Dale Perry. In this episode, we meet those who played a key role through great eras of the Latrobe Football Club that led to the ultimate prize. Well, Dale Perry, what does it mean to you coming back to this famous football club here at Latrobe? We're sitting in this incredible museum. You've been associated with football for many, many years. What does it mean to you?
Oh, it's mystique, isn't it? It just tells you what and where the football club's been, littered with champions, and just the history's been displayed, and it gives an opportunity for people that are situated with the club now, it's something to look back on, and history that's never going to be forgotten.
Now, you played a significant role with the Latrobe Football Club that started in 2010 and oversaw an amazing era through to 2014. Tell us about that time when you came here to the Latrobe Football Club.
Look, I was asked to coach late in 2009 by Peter Fresh and Rick Slatter, and look, the way they came across was very professional, and the fact that they hadn't won a premiership for 38 years was a challenge that they wanted to overcome. They put in place some really good, they put in place a really good football model, and I was really excited to get on board, especially because of those two guys. They were running the football club, and I knew, look, to be successful, you've got to connect up a lot of dots, and those were two guys that were able to do that.
My first appointment as president, or our first appointment when I was president, was of Dale Perry, 2010. And he stayed, he coached for 5 years. His tenure was up, we thought, at the end of that. He disagreed, but at the end of the day, that's the way things work. But prior to that, we had appointed Matthew Lambo for 2 years. And I wasn't involved in that. I was away in Europe at the time when he was appointed. But that turned out to be, in my mind, a turning point. And I distinctly recall Matthew telling me at the end of those 2 years that he'd basically taken the group as far as he thought he could. And if he was me, he'd be talking to Dale Perry.
Yeah, well, the first flag was a build-up sort of from Matthew Langmate. He coached a couple of years beforehand, just the way he got things going, and he was actually playing coach in those days, so he's got really good footy IQ. He remembers everything. If you cock up in the first quarter, he'll remember that at the end of the game, and he'd tell you how to improve that the next time.
It was a recommendation. It was said with the best intentions for the club. Matthew was making those comments. It wasn't go and get Dale Perry. It was if I were you, it was very constructive, proactive. It was, it was. And Matthew was a man I respected then and respect now, as a person and as a footballer. And that advice was, really important in determining where we went to see the way Dale was accepted. But having said that, in the lead up to that decision, once I'd had the initial discussion with him, as I was sitting outside the Wesley Vale footy ground and making the initial call, I knew I had to talk to some people at Latrobe Footy Club who had been central to the development of a love-hate, mostly hate relationship with the Devonport Footy Club. And Dale was pivotal in that, and there's a letter probably still here at the club, signed by Dale and then President Neil Wilkinson from Devonport, which reflected poorly on the club and the people running it. I always remember that. I remembered it then. But I was also aware that Gavin Woodcock, for one, Adam Stevens for another, had, I believe, been coached by Dale at Devonport in the under-18s. I think Steve-O might have been dropped for a grand final and may have even been the captain of the underage at that time. But I don't know the absolute detail, but there was certainly potential for animosity to still exist between those two key players at our club and Dale.
Well, look, Matthew Langmate made it easier for me. He coached Latrobe the year before, the 2 years previously till I come up here. And look, Latrobe had the courage to appoint me, a former Devonport coach, and a coach that had lost 3 grand finals in a row. So that took some courage for Latrobe Football Club to appoint me, considering that they hadn't had any success.
I also spoke to Shane Greenwood, the president at the time, the ex-president, a person who put a lot of time and effort into this place, and very much dedicated, him and his wife Mandy, very much dedicated to the club. But when I canvassed those 3 or 4 people about how they feel if Dale were to be appointed, they all said basically in a nutshell, if you believe it's best for the club, then we'll support it, to their credit. And they put the club first, and that's what happens here.
They're all good people that come to this club. Dale Perry was one fine example. He didn't realise there was a club outside of Devonport. And he said this club is just brilliant, the way they look after people and their families. And, well, they just stick together. They just love each other.
So Dale, when you arrived at the club in 2009 and the club had been through a period dating back to the early 1980s since its last premiership, how did you address your charges for the first time?
The first question I asked the players, as I do when I go to clubs, what do the opposition think of us as a football club? And the answers that I got from the players, they were spot on. And I said, well, let's get down and work and make sure that we fix the issues that we've got so we can be successful. And to the players' credit, under great leadership of I have 2 wonderful premiership captains in Gavin Woodcock and Josh Holland, both Bulldog medal winners, both best and fairest winners, both champions in their own right. But more importantly, they were able to drag the players along with them. I had the easy job. I just tinkered with the boat. Those guys drove it, and we put in some really hard nights, but the players could see the bigger picture, and I was really grateful to the fact that those players worked hard.
I think when we do win a premiership, the people like myself anyway, it's just so special, that relief, that 2010 one that we won was just unbelievable. I'll never forget it. I remember, blokes like Rod Butler and them type of people cuddling one another, because they hadn't seen it, and You know, when Dale went up to the hospital to see the doc, like he was in hospital at the time, and I'll never forget it. I've got a photo of it where Doc's up with the trophy with Dale, and it's just one of those greatest moments, you know. And it was just so good for the volunteer people, for the old players to see them win it for such a big drought.
Yeah, like what we played when we couldn't win one, which was disappointing, but people say, oh, the success come later, and we look forward to that. Like, it was great because really it got you out of the Baldock era, and like Gavin Woodcock and all them, they forged a new era in Dale. They forged a new era for themselves and the Latrobe Footy Club, and so there was another era which was good.
Well, our premiership we won, which was it the 20, Leon coached us after 30 odd years, Leon Perry, Dale Perry, I beg your pardon, got us to win that one. I mean, it was, I often couldn't sort of tell you how that felt. It was just the best feeling, and that's a fond memory of mine.
Oh, I remember, like, yeah, it brought tears to your eye. I remember 94 when we got beat, when me and you, Eddie, was crying. You know, we got beat, like, that's what it meant to us, and then, yeah, to see him actually win one, and yeah, you cried again. So that's what the club means.
At a particular time, you don't sit there when you're involved in that time and say, geez, we've been successful. It's only when time passes and you're able to sit back and look back and you can say, wow, I'm just so privileged and honoured to be involved in an era that Latrobe Football Club displayed in those years. And it makes me humble to think that my name will be attached to the Latrobe Football Club forever because of the time that I spent here. That means a lot to me. Every time I walk back into this club, the respect that I'm shown, it makes me feel very humble. And I do love the Latrobe Football Club. They gave me the success that I long for. And as I said, until the day I die, and when I die, when I pass over, in 100 years' time, my name will be attached to this football club, and that means a lot to me and my family.
Who are some of the great players you've seen go on this grid?
Geez. Well, I've got two sitting beside me, really. Geez. And the way Darryl brought that medal was unbelievable for me. Even though I wasn't in Launceston the night it happened. I mean, the wife was at home, my wife Helene, and when he won, we had to jump in the car and go to Launceston and be with him, you know. But for little Steve, you get like the Troy Davies and then when they come here, Jeffrey's unbelievable, that bloke, Jeffries. He's one of the legends that run around on this ground here with the yeah, and the larrikin.
I'm renowned as the pest, but I had to do that to be any good at footy because there was nothing better than someone chasing me around the footy field. It made me go a bit harder, and obviously, so I had to do stuff at times that the big forwards didn't have to do because they had great hands, good leap. I didn't kick it a mile. I didn't have all that, so I needed to get a few free kicks and things around the place. It was when Lynchy was coaching. We played South Lonnie and Big Pagey. Well, Lynchy said to me, I want you to go and play loose in the back line. And like I'm a 20-year-old, I think I was playing weight about 78 kilo. And I'm loose in front of Pagey, and I think he just pushed me in the back or something and told me to get out of the road, and I turned around, and I don't know why I overdid it, but I just threw a punch and hit him, and he didn't flinch. He didn't move, he didn't, and the look on his face was more shock than anything. And he told me I've got another 2 quarters of playing loose in the background. He was playing at full forward, so back line. Yeah, he was a full forward, so I never I didn't do too much, but then Daniel Freshney decided to go up there and coach the next year. So I turned up to a 200 club they had there, and the first person I met at the door was Big Pagey, and he shook my hand there, and he still couldn't believe that I did it that day.
You got a jiffy story, because one is that his other nickname is Pest.
He is.
So please explain, boss.
Well, you're in the kitchen cooking, you got probably a hot dish in your hand. And he goes out to the toilet and he'll come back past and go, hey, like that, and he'll jump 10 feet, and it's like you think you're going to drop. He does it every time he gets us. Every time he gets us. He's just a stirrer. He just stirs you up all the time, doesn't he? Or you get hold of you and he'll put his hand down your face and you'll grab hold of you like this, and yeah.
That's why he is a pest, I
he
think.
Is, but he's a great guy.
He has a heart of gold.
Does have a heart of gold.
And would do anything at this club for anyone, wouldn't he, Ros?
Oh, definitely.
I want to talk about when you equalled the game's record at Latrobe Football Club with Rod Butler, of course, 5-time best and fairest winner here at Latrobe. Am I right in saying you actually contemplated retiring on the equal number of games rather than you taking that record? Was that a serious consideration?
Yeah, it was. It was because for me, I looked up to Rod. Rod was a personal friend as well. Like, I mean, we're generations apart. But we did leg strips and things together, and the jokes and the music and the jiffy, mate, get this shit off and put a bit of John Fogerty on, or like, there was always banter and things behind it. So the footy was just another thing, and Rob was always the record holder in my eyes. And then when I got close, I remember saying to him one day about it, and he just said, he didn't allude to anything. He just sort of said, "You just do what you got to do, mate. Just keep playing footy." But then I always thought, well, Rob was always a record holder. It'd be, how cool would it be to be there with him? And also I think it'd be so much easier if there was just a record, and then not, because obviously people still talk about, they now say about me beating Rod, which is, I never set out to beat Rod. But then you talk to other people, and in the footy community, everyone says you're a long time retired, and then when it got to that point, and I asked a lot of the older guys around the club, and they just said, just keep going, mate. Records are there to be broken. But yeah, at the time, the wife even asked me, and I know the football club asked Alyssa, what's he going to do? And she said, I don't know, today could be his last game. And that was where I was at. After that game, I was going into that thinking, I don't know what I'm going to do today at the end of the day. So yeah, I definitely did think about it. I thought about it because it would have been easy, I guess. That would have been cool to sit there with him. But every time, I'm glad I did it now, because now every time they talk about my record, we talk about Rod every time.
Talk to us a little bit about the coaches that you played under, and who was good.
I played under a lot of individual coaches, if you know what I mean. In periods where, they only last 1 year, and then you'd have to perform again for the next coach, like type of thing. It was always pressure, you just took a little while to...
know what you was going to get.
No, you just didn't know what you was... Yeah, that's right. So, yeah. I always remember when we got Bob Wilson to the club, because my daddy was in the era that, you only handball when you're in trouble. Well, Bob introduced a handball running game to us in the early days, and we probably weren't ready for it, and we probably mucked it up a lot at the times. And you just hear the people kick the bloody ball, but Wills had us that way that we was just, handball happy.
Our juniors, that's where it all starts. The Auskick gives them the skills, the juniors continues, and then as juniors, we're building them to become our future players. There were lots of things that stick in my mind about that junior time. One of them would be it's either 2015 or 2016, and these poor under-14s had tried and tried all year. They'd developed their skills over 2 years under this coach. They hadn't won a game in over a season and a half, and the last game, everybody's on the sidelines. It's a 1 point difference. We're in the lead. There's like 2 minutes to go. All the parents are standing on the sidelines. We're all cheering loudly. People like Wayne Jaffray standing there with tears in his eyes. And it was just amazing to see these kids actually win a game.
So they hang on.
They hung on. They won the game. There were tears on the sidelines. We had great clapping and so on as they came off. And they actually got to sing the song. And so that's always interesting, because when you've lost for that long, you forget what the words are.
So they could.
No, but they got it. They knew it. So that was one of the highlights. But the others is seeing these kids come through, kids that started with Mitchell in Auskick or even started with Luke in Auskick are now our senior players. And so to see them out there still doing their sport and doing it well, it's amazing to watch.
There'll be one of the great traditions and a big day for the club, irrespective of whether they're in it or not, is the NWFL. Tell us about how big that is for the Latrobe Football Club to host it, and just what is involved with putting on such a big day.
To start off, it's a lot of work. People think there's a lot of money in putting on the grand final. There is, but there's a lot of work goes into it. We have, I'd say, around about 100 plus volunteers that day. And to work up to that grand final, to get that day on the ground, that's a lot of people involved. As I said, the clubs won't function without volunteers. And when you've got to get that many people involved to put on one day, it takes a fair bit, a fair bit of organising, and it's a credit to the club and the people that come after me to do it. And we've got to be thankful to the Latrobe Council, the effort they put in here to help us to put on that grand final. And they don't charge a penny to the NTFL for the grand final day. They don't have to pay. That's one thing I said. The Latrobe Council has always been really, really good, and that's why I suppose in one respect we've kept the grand final here for so many years. And I really, really thank the Latrobe Council for that. It's a credit to them, and it's a credit to all the people that work here on grand final day. I mean, it doesn't just start on one day. It's a lead up to it, and the kitchen staff and the Lions Club help us out, and different organisations jump in to help everybody, and that's what it's all about, a town and a community like Latrobe. I mean, I said before, we're a small community, and everybody seems to get behind the football club, especially on grand final day. I mean, as Dork knows, his wife and father was involved over the years, were working, and I really respect those people like Leon's mum and dad, the time and effort they put in here over the years, and people don't realise that they just think those people will just turn up, but they don't. It's just a way of organising and getting them involved, and then they turn up. There's no problem. I don't think I've ever had anyone knock this club back on helping out, and it's just a pleasure to be involved with them.